So, the French are behaving like the Mafia, aren't they? And we are giving in to them. They're demanding extortion money, they're demanding protection money, otherwise they'll essentially unleash a tidal wave of illegal immigrants onto Kent and onto Dover and places like this. And we are giving in to them. 54 million quid today went to Emmanuel Macron, good old Emmanuel, so he can double the number of Navy boats patrolling the coast. Well, that's just double the number of naval Ubers, isn't it, that we've got now for these illegal immigrants. Some of these Ubers have been ours, to be fair, as well, actually. We've been communicating with the French Navy and asking them if we can enter their waters to collect some illegal immigrants. Can you imagine that phone call? So, bonjour, je voudrais collecter uno migrant, please. And that's kind of what we've been doing, right? And then the French are going, well, obviously you can, because we're going to take them to you anyway, right? So we're already in tow. You can just go and we can do some kind of peaceful transition of migrants, and then we'll bring them over and we'll allow them to land on the beach. So the French have been basically Uber drivers for migrants, and we've been helping them out in it. Now, call me a skeptic. But I'm not sure that the full might of the French Navy is a match for these emaciated men in rubber dinghies. I mean, I don't think it looks that way to me whatsoever. We had to sink the majority of the French fleet after they surrendered, so, that guy over there couldn't get his hands on them. So I'd be amazed if now the French Navy can pull this particular one off. The 54 million quid we spent is on top of another 28 million pounds that we sent them last year. And how well did that work? Well, I'll tell you how well that worked. There was a record number of migrant crossings 2 days ago. Over 800 of them. And the rest, of course, they're just the ones that we know about. And then yesterday, there was another 430. We now have officially overtaken the number of migrants entering this country in the entirety of 2020. We're up to 8,461. Can you guess how many of them we've sent back? None. So the rule now is if you make it to Britain, you can stay. And that's why they're doing it. I want your views on this now. 03444 99 1000. Text talk and your message to 87222 or tweet us at Talk Radio. We've got a Twitter poll going the rounds at the moment. Once migrants arrive in the UK, should they be our responsibility? Well, no, I don't personally think so. I don't personally think that they should be, but there are different views on this. And there's a few reasons why I don't think that migrants who land in this country illegally should be our responsibility. Firstly, the left wing in this country has a massive problem. An absolutely massive problem. They like to throw their arms open wide to anyone of any kind of colour, race, creed, nationality, whatever, right? But look, and I'm speaking very generally here, because this will not apply at all in any way to every single individual who's making their way over the channel. Please don't misunderstand me. But I think, it's fair to say that a lot of these people are coming from countries where they do not share our values about things like the LGBTQ plus community, where they do not share our values about things like women's rights. And so the left is in a very squiffy situation here, isn't it? Welcoming them onto the beaches in Dover, waving a giant rainbow flag. It's not really the same thing, is it? They're not really going to be able to get away with this kind of stuff, because what happens if you essentially import a lot of people here, or allow the importation of a lot of those people, some of whom, it's fair to say, will not share our values when it comes to the LGBT side of things, or when it comes to women's rights. And it's the left doing that. The same kind of people who want to throw their arms around the gay community, throw their arms around, social justice and social mobility, etc. Well, they're actually kind of, their ideology anyway at the moment is helping to import some of those people who disagree vehemently with that side of things. So how do they get away with that? But then on top of that, there's more to this. Where do we put all these people? Because we're not sending them back. The figure that we sent back is 0, right? So that's happening. If you can get to Britain, you can stay in Britain. Them's the rules, right? Where do we put them? Well, we put them in hotels a lot of the time. Well, we've got 7,000 homeless military veterans in this country. People who we've sent off to places like Syria, like Iraq, like Afghanistan, like wherever, frankly, take your pick, to fight and die and lose limbs and suffer the mental trauma and anguish of seeing the worst things that you can possibly see on the face of the earth, i.e. war, right? Well, some of those are lining the streets at the moment. If you go into your city centre, I can guarantee you there'll be at least 2 or 3 homeless military veterans in there, and the rest. So why can't we afford to give these people housing? Why can't we afford to put these people up in hotels? Why can't we afford to feed these people? Why do we leave them to a life on the streets after they've served Queen and country? I don't understand why we would do that. We've got hundreds of thousands of children who woke up homeless on Christmas Day as well. So whether they're sofa surfing with their parents, or whether they're in hostels or in boarding houses, whatever, hundreds of thousands of children are technically homeless in this country. Well, can we not help them? What about food banks? We've got people going to food banks. We've got people in decent jobs, supposedly, going to food banks in this country. Well, that's something we could maybe sort out, isn't it? Have we not got the resources for that? What about Marcus Rashford's hungry kids? You know, if you need to increase the free school meal side of it, well, then we've got issues. We're saying we can't afford that, but we can afford to put up a load of these people in 4-star hotels. I've got a massive issue with this. And then we go, all right, well, it's okay, we'll pay the French. That's a dereliction of duty. It makes us look weak on the world stage, frankly, and it's palming it off. If you put your border security in the hands of somebody else, you don't get border security. Of course you wouldn't. Why would you? Especially not from the French. They don't really like us. I think it's fair to say that a lot of us don't particularly like them. I would not pay the French for border security. There's a few things I pay the French for. Nice food, bit of wine, and maybe some high fashion. I would not pay them to secure my borders.